North Korean state media said Monday that leader Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump will discuss a permanent and durable peacekeeping mechanism on the Korean Peninsula, as well as the denuclearization of the peninsula, normalizing bilateral ties and other issues of mutual concern, at their historic summit Tuesday in Singapore. Wide-ranging and profound views on the issue of establishing new DPRK-U.S. relations, the issue of building a permanent and durable peacekeeping mechanism on the Korean Peninsula, the issue of realizing the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, and other issues of mutual concern, as required by the changed era, will be exchanged at the DPRK-U.S. Summit talks, a dispatch by the North's official Korean central news agency, KCNA, said. Kim and Trump both arrived in Singapore a few hours apart on Sunday. The KCNA report was unusual in its clarity, mentioning the historic first summit meeting and talks between Kim and Trump. It said Kim had left Pyongyang via a Chinese plane for his personal use, and was accompanied by Foreign Minister Ri Yong-ho, Defense Chief No Kwang-chul and sister Kim Yo-jong. Kim Yong-chul, the North Korean leader's right-hand man, and Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs Cho Sun-wei were also included in the entourage. Trump on Sunday called the unprecedented summit, at which North Korea's nuclear arsenal will be at the top of the agenda, a one-time shot at peace, formally ending the Korean War, 65 years after hostilities ceased with the signing of an armistice, will also be on the table at the first-ever meeting between a North Korean leader and a sitting American president. The talks come after a year of surging tensions between the two nuclear-armed rivals that saw Kim ramp up the development of his weapons programs as the two leaders traded a series of pointed personal barbs, as well as threats of war, at one another. Last year the North carried out what was by far its most powerful nuclear test to date and launched a flurry of missiles, including 2 over Japan, while Trump threatened Pyongyang with fire and fury, and Kim dubbed him a mentally deranged U.S. dotard. Trump landed in the evening after a long flight from Canada and the Group of 7 meeting there, telling Singaporean officials who welcomed him that he was feeling very good about the summit. White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said Trump spent his flight from Canada to Singapore, meeting with his staff, reading materials and preparing for his meetings in Singapore. She said Sung Kim, the U.S. ambassador to the Philippines, who has taken the lead on policy negotiations with the North, was set to hold a working group with a North Korean delegation at 10 a.m. Monday. Kim, who met Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong on Sunday after arriving, thanked him for hosting the event. If the summit becomes a success, the Singaporean efforts will go down in history, Kim said. But critics have warned that the meeting risks being largely light on substance considering what is believed to be a wide gap between the U.S. and the North on the denuclearization issue. Washington is demanding the complete, verifiable and irreversible denuclearization of the North, while Pyongyang has so far only made public pledges of its commitment to the denuclearization of the peninsula, a term open to various interpretations, while seeking security assurances in return. Trump insisted last week that the summit would not be just a photo op, saying it would help craft a good relationship that would lead to a process that could result in the ultimate making of a deal. But prior to leaving Canada, the mercurial president again changed his tune, calling it a one-time shot, and adding that he would know, within the first minute of meeting Kim, whether an agreement will be possible. If I think it won't happen, I'm not going to waste my time, he said. The U.S. president also dangled the prospect of inviting Kim to Washington if the meeting is a success. The United States and North Korea have been in a technical state of war for decades after the eruption of the 1950–1953 Korean War, which pitted U.S.-led UN troops backing Seoul against Pyongyang's forces that were aided by China. The conflict ended in an armistice that sealed the division of the peninsula. Last year, the North made one of the biggest breakthroughs in its missile and nuclear weapons programs, which it says it needs to defend against the risk of a U.S. invasion, when it announced that it had completed its state nuclear program after testing a missile capable of striking most, if not all, for the continental U.S. But in April, Kim announced a shift from a focus on building his nuclear arsenal to one of bolstering his tattered economy. As a part of that process, he also announced a suspension of nuclear and missile tests and the dismantlement of a key atomic testing facility that was carried out last month. Trump and other top U.S. officials have promised a bright future for the North if it quickly relinquishes its nuclear weapons, including economic inducements and a security agreement. But it remains unclear if Kim will part with what he likely views as his most important bargaining chip anytime soon.